right, hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Practical Wealth Show. So today we're going to talk about business, personal branding to grow your business. And I have Dylan Vanas.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, all right. I should ask you before we start, right? And so he's a digital marketing entrepreneur, founder, and CEO of AgencyBox and a white label platform. He's helped more than 3,500 agencies run profitable businesses. He's the co-founder of Mindful Agency. He started his career way back in 2017 at 22, okay? And now only a few years later, he's an 8-figure founder and businessman, speaker. He's been featured on major outlets like Fox, ABC, Yahoo. So he's doing, as we say, the damn thing. And so Dylan, tell them welcome to the Practical Wealth Show. I'm happy to have you to talk about, how we can get these people. We got to get your money up, right? And you got to get your money up. And so, and Curtis is going to help you keep it. Dylan, welcome to the Practical Wealth Show.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. I'm actually doing a webinar for my community on Thursday, and the topic is wealth creation in an automated economy. Right, we're moving towards so much new stuff happening, and there's so many new tools, so much new technology coming out. So it's kind of fitting that we're talking today when just a few days from now I'm going to be chatting with my community about this topic.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's because one of the things that I found is a lot of times the fastest path to cash is a business, right? You can gen up a business and if you know what you're doing, you got a good market, you can kind of and especially in today's economy, you don't have all the barriers to entry. You got to have some knowledge, but you can kind of get stuff going faster, especially if somebody like you helps them start out thinking right and talking to the right people, right? And so I think that is your people don't look at their business as their investment. I talk about the business being an number one investment, because you put $1 in and you make $2, that's 100%.
Yeah, and you're gonna have tough luck getting to 100% ROI on pretty much any other investment.
Yes, exactly. With leverage or in something that you understand that you control. See, that's to me is key, right? And that you can control it, the different levers, who you go after, what you're pricing, all that kind of stuff. So, but let's start with like what you're known for. What's the in your mind the importance of personal branding and how to create how to create a strong personal, why is it important, and how to create a strong personal brand in today's digital age?
So, dude, we're in this era right now where people are creating content. There's like brands blowing up. I mean, like even what you're doing, right? Creating a podcast, working with people is by definition, you have a personal brand. And so there's almost like these two categories of people. Category one is just consumers of information online. Category two is people that are the creators of content online. And if you're a creator of content, you open up all these additional opportunities that other people don't have, like us
Mm-hmm.
connecting right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think bottom line, like if you're trying to make it in today's day and age, you need to look at ways to actually brand yourself as a person on whatever it is: wealth creation, business, social media, entrepreneurship, whatever your thing is. And it doesn't have to be set in stone. It can change. A lot of times people,
Mm-hmm.
they have 40 iterations of it, but I think it just you get to connect with cool people in a world where otherwise you'd just be a consumer.
What let's go back to branding, because that when people start using that term, I'm gonna tell you I didn't really like it, right? Because they were talking about your logo and your color scheme and all this stuff that doesn't make money, right? And so I always viewed branding as a byproduct of good marketing. So I've kind of built the Practical Wealth brand, but I was really just trying to market in with what I call educational based marketing. And I probably, if I were to talk to you, could be better at my brand. We might talk about that later. But I I think that if you have something to say and you start out right, I think that's what you're saying with having a message that attracts your people. Explain to you what you mean with branding. That's, I guess, what I'm saying. I'm talking too much, but
So the way I look at branding is there's three things. There's it's a triangle, and on the bottom level the most important thing you need is a baseline level of social proof.
Okay.
Okay. Now, when I
Mhm.
say social proof 100 years ago, it was not the caveman, 100 years, 1,000 years ago, right? The
Okay.
caveman, or 100 years ago, it was the guy who was walking around with a whole bunch of women around him, or had the nice, the nice car, or the nice job. Like, these are elements of social proof. Now, if we go forward about 70 years to about 30 years ago, social proof is the guy driving the Porsche, working on Wall Street in a nice suit, nice home, all this stuff. Well, what's interesting is, in today's age, what is social proof? Social proof is when someone looks you up online, what do they see? And with that, it's like you need to craft your own narrative. So, follower count, what the media is saying, what they find on Google. Do you have a website for yourself? If not, you should. Do you have a LinkedIn? Guess what? LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, all these social media profiles, they rank really, really well online. StreamYard, heck, even if you have a StreamYard presence, right? Whatever social media tools you're using, they show up high online. So you
Mhm.
kind of just want to get it all out there, and get it out there in a way where you're saying what you want to be said.
Okay. Yes, that makes a lot of sense. And
And so that's like the foundation. Now,
mhm.
once you do that, then you can start looking, okay, logo, colors. Like, the reality is business isn't about your logo.
Right.
And the reason that, they say only 1 in 5 businesses survive the first 5 years, and then 1 in 5 of those ones survive the next 5 years. The reason why that is because people get stuck on the non essential aspects of business.
Right.
Talk about, flashback to this thing called COVID that happened a few years ago. You might remember it. And They had these things called essential workers and non-essential workers.
Right.
Well, in a business, what's essential? Your logo is not essential. If you had to
Right.
scrap everything, there's one thing. What can I do to drive sales? And then
Right.
from there, what can I do to make my customers happy? In a business, those are the only two essential workers. So
Amen. All right.
so for that next hierarchy, it's like, okay, let's begin to craft our story, craft our message, craft what's being said, so that when people look at us, they understand, what's this guy actually do? Like, for you, it's pretty dang simple. You help people get their money right. I mean, for me, look, it's not as simple as that. And it should be, right. But for us, I help people build their brands online, and
Mhm.
that's it. So so that's like the second level, and the third one is like when you start tapping into audiences and building your customer base. And so really, there's even levels within that, but the what you want to do is get on people's podcasts, collaborate with other people, create content, speak on stages, get in front of audiences, because in today's age, it is hard to build an audience organically, and it's much more simple if you just do it. You kind of like hack into other people's audiences.
Mhm. What I want to come back to hacking other people's audience. I want to when you say talk about what you mean when you talk about being mindfulness, and how does that play in your professional success?
Yeah, so people have different perspectives of what mindfulness means. To some people, it's let me sit down and do this 5 minute meditation in the morning on this app because I heard it's good for you. Other people, it's let me go for a walk in the park. And I think that, for other people, it's their faith, their religion.
Right.
And so I think for everyone, it's like, uh, it is important to have, if you look at any success book, I've got, by the time I was 18, I'd probably read 100 personal development books. And so the thing is the fundamental thing on all of them is every single successful person has an element of faith, or mindfulness, or spirituality, or personal growth to them. So I think that it's absolutely critical to success in whatever venture you're doing, that there's something greater that you're moving towards. And look, for some person, it could be, hey, my faith could be, I want to improve my relationships with my family. All right, cool, that's
Mhm.
it. But you
Mhm.
do need something greater than yourself to work towards and strive towards.
Even more than money, like a bigger vision of what you
Mm,
not money,
So
not just
so
money,
so
but
so here's what mindfulness for me is.
okay.
Mindfulness for me is I wake up every day and I start my day with a meditation. My meditation isn't this isn't, by the way, I'm not going out and I'm walking like this down the street. My meditation, actually, I sit down in an area of my house and I
Mhm.
close my eyes and I work through my mind how that day is going to go. And what
Hmm.
I'm doing is, you hear athletes do this, you hear professional Olympians do it. They're catching the Super Bowl catch in their mind
Right.
before they do it in reality.
Right.
And so for me, if the top athletes do it and it worked for them, could it work for me in business? And so that's what I do. So in the morning, I sit down and I create my ideal day. I identify the challenges that I may face and may see, and I overcome them in my mind first, so I'm ready to overcome them in reality.
I love that. So here's the takeaway I want y'all to get. Thanks for that, Dylan. Is that, if you're in business or trying to be in business, are you visualize what's a win? Like I actually start with what's the week, my ideal week, what I want that to look like on Sunday night. And then, you know, I try to, okay, because I'm use the 12-week year as my operating system. So it's kind of like a week is a month, right? And a day is a week. So I try to win the day. So to your point, it's like I try to think about, and sometimes I might get in and jump right into it, but I try to work out and then I try to look at, okay, what are the top 3 or 4 things I need to get done? And you got to visualize it working out because to your point, guys, if you, life works out the way you see it working out, and you got to have a positive expectation that you're going to win. I mean, you got to do stuff. You can't just like be positive. I mean, you got to, I always tell people your work ethic has to match your dreams. Okay, but you know what I mean. But that's really good. I appreciate that. I want to go back to something else you said. So when you talk about part of the triangle, social? Is it social proof, foundation, audience? I think I'm missing one. Is it
Yeah, so the three things, it's social proof, and then it's your brand story
brand
is the
story?
second tier,
Hmm.
and then the top one is building your audience.
I want to jump to building an audience. So like, one of like my favorite, what I found is that my favorite, I'm going with somebody on marketing, and she's like, my favorite way to get involved in front of people is live, like teaching, live stages, live webinars, that kind of stuff. And I like teaching stuff. So, and it's like getting on other people's stages. So when you say the audience, I think would you say it's important to figure out who has your audience? Who do you want to serve? So that goes back to the focus. And then do you have any tips for them on finding that, and then finding people to get in front of? I guess once they need to work through, because they don't, I got to have their message right. So you can't just have nothing to say and then start calling people. But let's say they have something to say, but they're trying to figure out who to say it to.
Well, the truth is everyone has something to say,
Okay.
and everyone has a lesson they can teach. So,
Mm-hmm.
if nothing else, I'm sure there's something someone could say that could add
Mm-hmm.
value. But there is, in fact, a way, and I'll tell you what this is. But there's a way for anyone in the world who has anything to sell to be able to sell it, get business, make money without having to spend a dollar up front. Most people think, I actually have a ROAS. It stands for return on ad spend. It's a marketing term,
Mm-hmm.
kind of like ROI, but in the marketing space. And people think, oh, I got to put a dollar up and I'll get $2 out. But there's actually a way to get $2 out first and then put your $1 up. You want to know what that is?
I do.
It's tapping into other people's audiences.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is actually how I made my first. I had hundreds of my first 3,000 customers were actually generated from this method. And it's a method where you create strategic partnerships with people who have an audience, and then you create a win-win deal with them where they're sending you the customers and you only pay them after a deal's done. Zero risk, infinite scalability, and it's a value add. You get to make money with your friends. That's like the
Right.
best thing ever.
How do they need to, like, were these, when you did this, were these people that or did you have a process of reaching out to people you didn't know?
So there is a way to do it with people you don't know. The best thing to do though is get to know people.
Yeah.
Like I'll give you an example. On on social media, you can create collaboration posts. You and we can sit here and we could do a post together. We tag each other. It shows on both of our feeds. In fact, Instagram just added, now you can do it with a three-way one. So we have all of our feeds, and that on itself is we're tapping into each other's audiences. But the way to do it is so the way I described is having someone else promote your product. But there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of ways inside of that:
Mm-hmm.
podcast, collaborative, social media post, creating content together, speaking on stages, doing webinars, email blasts. Like there's a whole podcast. I don't know if I said that. There's a whole bunch of ways to do that. And so I think the best thing to do is pick one that you think resonates with you,
Yeah.
and then dive deeper into the strategy. There is ways to get those people who so let me give you an example.
Mhm.
Johnny in South Carolina, he's in the middle of nowhere. He's got a town of 250 people. He's like, Dylan, you're saying I need to build these connections and sell this way, but how do I do that when I don't know anyone? Well, here's the thing is you have the same opportunity that I do. Because guess what? The majority of my connections aren't from me driving around Las Vegas where I live. It's from this.
Right.
So you just go in here, you go on your social media, you look at people that are not the A-listers, not the D-listers. You find the B and C listers, and you because these people see their messages, and you shoot them a message, and you say, "Hey, I'm actually right now. I'm actually what I'm doing is I'm creating a stockpile of content that I'm going to be releasing in an upcoming show of mine. Would love to feature you. What would it look like to actually jump on a call and actually and feature them? And whether you're doing it in email content, video content, whatever it is, you get in communication with them, you build that relationship, you get content, and then you release it. And then after you have that conversation, you say, hey, by the way, here's my offer, here's what I sell. Maybe there's something else we could do together. So you're adding value by saying you're going to promote them. And then at the end of it, you're going and you're actually potentially going to have them promote you.
Guys, that is a writer downer. All right. So you don't need to replay and go back and listen to that because he just gave y'all at least a $200,000 idea. All right. So I had to stop. I was looking down. I was like, wait, I'm going to write that down. I'm going to come back and rewind that. So sometimes, guys, this show is personal consulting for Curtis. I'm just going to keep it real. And so that was a great idea. And let me ask you a question. So you also have an because I want to ask you about, I haven't mentioned this, so I want to flow into this question. I was thinking about your software as a service business.
Mhm.
And so when people are looking to build a successful SAS company, what advice would you give them?
So
That's kind of out of left field from what we were talking about, but the
yeah, well, no, look, it ties to money, right? And
mhm,
here's the thing: it's like we want to create wealth, success,
yeah,
financial freedom. And
right.
so, what's a fantastic way to do that? Well, what if you had a check coming into your bank account month over month, every single month? You never had to worry about anything.
Right.
One of the best ways to do that is sell a product that people buy and they're just paying for every single month. And software, SaaS, that some it's typically referred to software as a service, is a great way to do that. And there's actually different platforms out there where you can it's called white labeling. You can actually
Mhm.
create your own software company off the back of someone else's software. So you don't need a product. You don't have to go reinvent the wheel. You just go find one of these platforms. You put your own logo on there. We're talking about logos earlier.
Yeah,
In this
yeah,
case, you would need a logo.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
put your own logo on there, and you just go out and sell it as your own software. And you're paying them $10 a month, and then every client pays you $50 a month, and you're just making $40 a month on
I love
repeat.
that. See, listen, I'm in a community where it says, listen, we call it continuity income. If your business doesn't have continuity income, you don't have a business, you have a series of offers, right? And I always thought that you had to create it. So, and I'm not creative. I'm like, I would love the software. Like I use other people's software in my business, but it's not my stuff. So I'm paying to use it and just incorporating my service. But I need to figure out somebody that has what I want. And, because I always good at customizing and make their thing do what I wanted to do. And I'm like, how can I do that? But that's because what happens is all good businesses, they're all in some type of either membership or subscription, think Salesforce or Hulu, Netflix, or um, Microsoft. All their stuff is now, we used to be able to buy it. Now it's all, you just pay for it on a monthly basis. So that's the type of thing. What businesses would that go for? Like, how would you start to think about, how would you even begin to look for that? if I'm not spilling the beans on what you do. But I think that's a useful thing for people listening to this.
Dude, I don't hold anything back. The reality is that everything I say you can find for free on YouTube anyways. I'd rather just be I'd rather be the person that's creating and helping create the idea, and there's nothing to hold back.
Yeah,
So
that's how I am.
um
Yeah, I like that.
I am working on a product on my end
Hmm.
that it will be a tool that leverages some of the emerging technology like AI and stuff.
Hmm.
So, a business owner could go and they could use it for their own business or go and resell it to other people. But in the meantime, the best thing to do is you could just search white label software or private label software in Google, and you would find a whole bunch. And find something that you're knowledgeable about and passionate. Like, let's say if you're in the real estate space, find a real estate thing. Maybe it's like a skin of MLS, right? It's like a real estate search tool. And now you can go around and you can target real estate agents and say, hey, I got this software for you. And you sell them, sign them up. And look, software typically it's 99% profit. So, you know, outside of investing, you don't really find anything that has such high profit margins.
Yeah, it's very sticky. I love that. What what are some of the let's talk about you for a little bit. So some of the because you start at a young age, you're still young, but you've created a lot of success, but I'm sure it wasn't all bright lights and glamour. Uh you know, so share with them because I want people to, know that all right, listen, he's doing well, but he went through some stuff to get where he is. Why he's on the show. He can talk about it, right? And so, what's the biggest obstacle you faced in your entrepreneurial journey thus far, and how have you overcome it? If you could think of, a thing that would be helpful to our listeners.
Yeah, I've been I think like sometimes people look, they're like, oh, they see like, um nice looking, well spoken white kid, and they're like, this kid's had it easy like his whole life. And I think, in transparency, I came from a family of dentists. My dad was a dentist, his dad was a dentist, and so naturally, Dylan was supposed to be a dentist.
Right.
And guess what? I'm not. So for me, I went through the school of hard knocks of dropping out of college and trying to figure out entrepreneurship in life. And the 10-second version of a 10-year journey
Yeah.
was that I thought I was God when I, hit gold once. And then I forgot of the things that made me get there.
Yeah.
And so I went through a cycle of creating success, losing it, creating it, losing it like a couple times. And I think fundamentally the thing is that we need to know as anyone who wants more to life is anytime you have something that's working and succeeding, you need to um, don't stop it. Like
Mhm.
milk it as long as you can for as long as you can. And then if there comes a time when you want to do something else or change it, take the things that were working from that first thing and do more of it. But don't ever throw away what's if you have, the average millionaire has 7 streams of income. Obviously it didn't start that way. But if you have a job that's paying you, don't go scrap it and start something new. Like keep your job, start your little thing, build it up. Like then the next thing, build it up,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
takes time.
Yeah. That's cool because Jim Rohn, I quote him a lot. I have no original thoughts, right? And Jim Rohn says, "Wages make you a living, profits make you a fortune, right? But you earn your living by day, and you work on your profits on your lunch break, at night, and on the weekends, and you build up your enterprise, and I call it, you let your job finance your apprenticeship until you can get your thing going,
Mm.
that's going to be your thing. And then that way especially like sometimes, like I got in a business, Dylan, I think I was like 21 or 22. And my dad, I'd always heard, you never making money work for somebody else. He says, well, Dad, I think I want to go full time in insurance, and I wasn't any good at it. Just for full disclosure, and so I was still living at home. He says, "Go ahead, you know, you're never gonna make any money work for somebody else." So I've heard that from some I was 7. So he was like, so I had him in my court. I ended up eventually recruiting him into the business, but he says, "Try it. Just make sure you make money." And that was my advice. And so
Mm.
most people don't have that. Like, what? You better get your job, boy. That was my mother. Okay, and so that's cool. So finally, let me ask you a question. How this is a question. I think this is a good thing in terms about relationships. So how do you approach building and maintaining relationships with influential people? And what's the key? Like one of the things I challenge in full disclosure. So I meet great people like you, and I want to I don't want to just be a interview I did 6 months ago and we never talk again. Like, so I'm trying to work out how do I, develop relationships, maybe, strategic alliances with these people as we meet, as we do our thing. Is there a process, a formula that you have for, maintaining and expanding those relationships that you can share with
Yeah,
me if
so
nobody else cares?
so
So,
I've been fortunate enough to work with some of the world's largest personalities and brands, and guys and girls that I used to sit and watch, and I
mhm,
watched in this podcast as a 18, 17-year-old Dylan driving to the grocery store for my day job,
mhm,
and I'm listening to Tony Robbins and these thought leaders. You said Jim Rohn, right? And so now that I've been able to not just work with them but become friends with many of them, I've uncovered the secret to creating and maintaining high value relationships over a long period of time. And it's a simple 5 letter word that starts with V and rhymes with value.
okay,
So it's all about how can you just give and give and give and give and give with no expectation of anything in return until the person eventually says, "Oh wow, like karmic balance is off.
right,
Let me return the favor." And
right,
and I think in society we have this misconception. It's like, oh, you go out for dinner with the boys, and it's like, your friend's like, "Oh, I'll grab it this time. You get it next time." Right? There's
hmm,
always this like keeping score thing that we do. And I think in order to build relationships, you need to get rid of that keeping score. Like actually get rid of it. Like you need to not think like that and just need to do and give and give. And a lot of religious people, they say, tithing, for example, we're giving 10% of our income.
right.
And part of that is like, you're giving with no expectation of anything. So here's an example. You'll get an email from me after this. It'll say, "Hey, thanks so much for chatting. Would love to feature you on a press article for free, no strings attached. Fill this form out. I'm a contributor. I have access to lots of different places, and I'd love to share your story." That's one example. Example two, I have a software. We have amazing value inside the software. You'll get another email. "Hey, Curtis, was great to connect. I'd love to go ahead and give you and any of your listeners or anyone that is in your ecosystem $1,000 of free software, year access of a premium level of my software for free." And so all I'm doing is I'm giving value to you, giving value to your ecosystem, no expectation of anything in return, and eventually it'll come back.
I love that. I'm trying to think of what do I have in the stuff. I have all this stuff in my Google Drive like that I could create some value out of and do that with. That's brilliant. Dylan, this has been wonderful. I got like a page of notes here talking to you. So, how can our listeners, follow you and, tell me about who you work with and how can they follow you and learn more about with you and touch base if and see if it's a good fit for you to get them going. If you are the startups or the existing business owners, tell them a little about who you serve and how they can be in
Yeah,
touch
I
with
mean, look, we work with there's packages and options to work with anyone. If you're trying to build and grow a brand, we can do it through my agency, Mindful Agency. If
you.
you're
Hmm.
looking to, maybe don't have a brand, you're looking to start a business or grow a business, I've got a platform called AgencyBox that helps you do that.
Hmm.
If you want to just connect with me though, dylanvanas.com, DYLANVANAS.com, or on Instagram, the same name. And I'm happy to connect and help. And again, just add as much value as I can.
That is awesome. So, Dylan, we'll put those in the show notes. And anything before I let you go, anything I didn't ask you, this is to make sure I don't forget anything that you wanted that I should have asked you that you want to make sure you get out there.
I have a podcast that I host out here in Vegas in person, and I sit across my guests, and oftentimes I'll ask the same question. I'll say, "Is there anything else you want to share?" Because
Yeah.
sometimes people have a little nugget of wisdom or something that they really want to share with people, and I think the thing that just comes to mind right now for me is that I think everyone's capable of more than they believe, and society has conditions humans to be victims of our circumstances instead of creators. And if you can just shift your mindset and start to say, "I am capable, I am this, blah, blah, blah," whatever you want,
Hmm.
and set your intention on a more positive horizon, the chances are you'll move there. At least worst case scenario, I'd like to believe that, in a worst case scenario, me imagining my future will be better at least keeps me happy now. So,
I
um,
love it. Yes, that's brilliant. Listen, I'm gonna let that be the last word. So, Dylan, I thank you so much for being a guest with us today on the Practical Wealth Show, folks. If you hear, if you find somebody that needs to hear this, send it to them. You should listen to this more than once. And if you're driving, you need to get back with the pen because he gave some serious nuggets that you should go back and write out. That what I like, Dylan, is that when our guests give implementable stuff that you could go do and have a win. And so I think there's a bunch of things that you suggested today that could give you a quick win. I'm gonna tell you, I thought I got two right now that when we hang up, I'm gonna look for some white label software. And it was something else. The audience, something about the audience thing. So I thank you. If nobody else is listening, Curtis is gonna make some money with this episode. So
dude,
I
thanks for having
appreciate
me.
you. Yeah, so thank you so much, guys. Go out there, listen, like, and share. Leave us a good review if you like it. If you don't like it, don't leave it on somebody else. Don't leave it on mine, right? So tell them lie. Tell them it's great. And I'm just kidding. So y'all go out there, make it a great day. Dylan, thanks again. And stay tuned for next week for another episode of the Practical Wealth Show.